No. Okay, welcome to another Friday Featured Business brought to you by Visibility Impact and your host, myself, James Moffat. Actually, I did say that the other week. I said your guest, James Moffat, and I went back and completely made a balls up of it. But anyway, as this is kind of a live recording, or live for us anyway, it will go out as a recording later. I'll put it on YouTube. So Jodie Dean, you are our 90th guest. So we're nearly there. Yeah, we're nearly at 100. So we'll have to do something special when we get to 100. So our 90th guest, so welcome. Right, so the feature is going to be on you. So we have our audience, which normally previous guests. So we have Sheila, Boyan, and Pete. And they're going to come on this journey with you, Jodie, so we can learn about you and your business, and not just your business, but your life and how you got to where you are now. So, but before we do that, we're going to have a song from Emily. But unfortunately, Emily can't make it today. She's on holiday. So she said we can play one of her songs. So I just picked a song from her YouTube channel. So we're just going to switch over to that, play the song, and then come right back. And then the spotlight's on Jodie. All clear? Right. So here we go. If it works.
I found love for me, darling, just dive and follow me. Well, I found a boy, beautiful and sweet. I never knew was someone waiting for me, 'cause we were just kids when we fell in love, not knowing what it was. I will not give you up this time. Darling, just kiss me slow. Your love is all I own, and in your eyes, you're mine. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark with you between my arms. Barefoot on the grass, listening to your favorite song. When I said I looked a mess, you whispered underneath your breath, but I heard, darling, you look perfect tonight. Well, stronger than anyone I know, and shares my dreams. I hope that someday I'll share his home. I've never known, yeah, to carry more than just my secrets, to carry love, to carry children. Fighting against all odds, I know we'll be alright. Tight, just hold my hand. Be my girl, you'll be my man. I see no future in your eyes. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark with you between my arms, barefoot on the floor, to our favorite song. I have faith in what I see. Now I have been an angel in person, and she looks perfect tonight. Telling you
Bravo. So that's Emily. She normally sings live. And yeah. Well, 1 second. Can you still hear the music?
No, only you.
All right, okay. This seems to happen every time. 1 second. Talk amongst yourself, because I've got music playing in my ears. I was just going to try and stop it.
Good morning, Pete.
Right.
Good afternoon, boys. Ready for the weekend?
Yes, we are going to a town about 300 kilometers away from Sofia. My little girl will have a competition of gymnastics. So it will be,
Nice.
yes, I prepared the big camera. I got it from New York. This is for Sheila message. Pretty old, but good.
How old is your daughter, boy?
Well, I hope she does.
Oops, sorry.
She's, my daughter, she's 7. She will become first grade. My son is 9. In July, he will become in 2 weeks. And the oldest daughter, she's 13. So
Nice.
Right, I'm back. Okay.
hi, James.
Hi. I need to sort that out because I stopped the music, but it seems to start again just as I've changed screen, and I can't find it back on the other screen. It disappears somewhere, and I've got music blaring in my ears, and but anyway, we're back. So anyway, Jodie Dean, am I pronouncing that right?
You are.
Right, because I have lots of guests with very difficult names, you see, and I struggle with names. So Jodie Dean, you're our 90th guest, so a warm welcome and an early start for you. So we're going to take you on a little journey through your childhood to where you are now, any memorable experiences that you want to share. And I'm going to prompt maybe for things that I've read about you already that you can elaborate on. But it'll be fun. It can be interactive. The audience can jump in. You can ask the audience questions as we go through as well, or they could just sit back and listen. Right. So the spotlight is on you. So first of all, Jodie, tell us where you are originally from, right? And where are you living now?
Yeah, so I'm originally from the island of Jersey in the Channel Islands between France and England. Or more correctly, geographically, you would probably say between Brittany and Normandy. So it's there are a group of islands, and Jersey is the largest of those, and they're actually really tiny. And my parents met there. My mother is English and my dad is Irish. And yeah,
There was a series, a police series on Jersey.
𝗘𝗔𝗥.
Yes, that was it. Right.
Yeah.
So
I think
that was,
anyone over a certain age is probably familiar with 𝗘𝗔𝗥 because it was like syndicated around the world. Yeah,
so,
it was.
So that was actually filmed in Jersey as well.
Yeah. They did the whole thing in Jersey. Yeah, it was pretty good as well. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did. So that kind of like put Jersey on the map, because most people thought, where's Jersey?
Oh yeah, totally. It did put it on the map. And probably responsible for some serious amounts of tourism income as well for the island. So yeah, it's part of. Okay, so it gets a bit technical here, but it is semi-independent. So it has its own kind of electing body and government, elected body and government, and but it's its own kind of tax jurisdiction. So and it is kind of answerable to Westminster, like the British government. So it's one of these kind of grey areas, and therefore it is a tax haven. And there's a few hundred billions stashed away and being managed there. It's the biggest industry on the island is finance. And yeah, it's just something to know about as well. It can be a good place to have a company and things like that if whatever you're looking at in terms of I'm not I'm not trying to sell it to anyone, but I've heard that it can be, depending on what it is. Anyway.
Okay, so tell us now where you live, and then we'll come back to Jersey. So where are you living now?
So I am now living on the Lake Atitlán in Guatemala. It's very
nice
lake, yeah, in the highlands of Guatemala. So even though at sea level it is roasting hot right now, here it is very, very pleasant. It goes between kind of 17 degrees Celsius to like 25 degrees in the day. So it's very, very pleasant. It's not too hot and it's not too cold. That's actually really nice to be in. And that's pretty much the yearly temperatures don't go beyond.
That is my kind of temperature, because I mean here, I'm in Switzerland, it can, the other week it was kind of 37 degrees, but then in the winters, it's the minus degrees. So a big fluctuation. So, I'm happy with kind of your temperature all year round.
What's not to love? And it has its own kind of microclimate as well. We're in a sort of transitioning from a rainy season into like a mini dry season for a bit during July. And there are little hurricanes that pass by occasionally. I get to see a lot of like electric storms around the lake, because you can imagine these kind of wide sweeping vistas, and then it's surrounded by volcanoes. So there's 3 dormant volcanoes, and then there are a couple of active volcanoes. And actually, I am directly, my view right now, directly across the lake, and I can see.
Can you show us the view?
Can try. It probably won't look half as good. We did it. Okay. I don't know what you can see there.
Wow, we can see some mountains.
Right. So that is actually a volcano right there, and there's actually a tiny bit of ash coming out of it. But it's probably too small to see right now. And actually that volcano at night, in a clear night, you'll see the lava flows come out of it.
Oh, so nothing to worry about then.
Well, it's 40 kilometers away, so it's plenty of distance. However, there are times when there's like ash on the lake, like in the atmosphere around the lake, makes it a bit hazy. So yeah, but otherwise nothing to worry about. I mean, if I was worried about anything, I'd be worried about the volcano that is there, that is just 5 kilometers away, and that is, it's dormant though, but it's right there. So
So bearing in mind you're surrounded by volcanoes, and what made you go there in the first place, and how long have you been there?
Yeah, great questions. I've been here on the 𝗘𝗘𝗏𝗏 for 9 months, and I actually came here because I was digital nomading, and I was in Mexico, and my 6 months of my visa in Mexico had come up, and I was looking, okay, how I'm gonna go out and come back in, and I was exploring various options, but I'd heard about this place, particularly the village of San Marcos in 𝗘𝗘𝗏𝗏, and I was very curious, and I was like, and I was like doing all my kind of due diligence of all my options, researching, you know, could go down to Belize, could do this, could, you know, still COVID restrictions were still around, and it's like you had to like spend 3 days in a government hotel in Belize to, you know, do that. Or it's like, oh, fly to Miami, and it's like, oh no, I can't do that. And then when I re-looked into it, it was like, okay, actually Guatemala is the place. And so I just, yeah, I let go, and I just flew in and came straight to the lake, and thought I'll spend a couple of weeks and then go back to Mexico, and still here.
So is it easy then to stay there?
Yeah, it is easy. To be very honest and transparent, I'm way beyond my visa expiration here in Guatemala, and I'm not that bothered. There's just like an exit fee when you leave. So yeah, they give you a 3-month tourist visa.
So the place you're staying in, I'm assuming is a rented place.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that what you meant when you asked, is it easy to stay there? Like, is there nice places to stay? Or
Well, no, I actually meant for bureaucracy or legality. I mean, was it?
Yeah. There's, I mean, it's, yeah.
And the language?
Well, that's an interesting one. But there are like, there's a couple of services on the lake that they'll take your passport to the border, get it stamped, and bring it back.
All right. But I mean, for language speaking, I mean, you can get by with English, no problem?
Not really, no.
No. So,
no. I mean, here as well, it's sometimes a bit hard to get by with Spanish as well, because the local languages is what people speak, and that is 𝗘𝗔𝗖𝗛 and 𝗬𝗘𝗔𝗖𝗛, so they're Mayan languages. So we're kind of, the lake is a natural border between different Mayan tribes, actually, and there's about 4 Mayan nations around the lake, and they all have their own language and their own history and their own cosmology and everything.
Yeah. So did you go there alone, or are you with
Totally
someone?
alone. Yeah, alone, all on my own.
See, you can sing.
I know I can sing, but doing a full coherent song is another thing. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. So anyway, let's kind of backtrack. So we will end up back there, but I kind of want to go back to Jersey at the moment, and to tell us a bit more about your childhood and kind of aspirations as a child. So growing up as a kid, I mean, do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a 1 year older brother and a 2 years younger sister. So
Right.
we all came out around the same time, basically.
Okay, so but they're still in Jersey or elsewhere?
And my sister, yeah, is in Jersey, and my brother is in the UK, in Bristol.
All right, okay. So you were the adventurous one.
I would say so, yeah. Yeah.
Or
definitely.
did that develop later, or were you always adventurous?
As soon as I kind of came of age, I was very hungry to explore and travel. Yeah.
Right, so have you lived elsewhere?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I mean, I've lived in the UK a lot, in different places, and that, well, when I say the UK, I mean England, really.
Yeah.
And also, I lived in Spain for 8 years in Barcelona.
Oh, so you speak Spanish.
Indeed, yeah, yeah.
So that does help a little bit, particularly with Mexico.
Definitely with Mexico, yeah, and to a lesser extent here. But I pity anyone trying to learn Spanish.
Bless you.
Bless you, yeah.
So just quickly before I forget, I mean, we had a guest. I mean, she's not from Mexico, but she's currently in Mexico. So I don't know what her situation is at the moment, but she has been a guest and an absolutely fantastic person, Barbara, and it's definitely worth connecting because maybe she has to at some point do something similar. To leave Mexico to come back in again or go elsewhere. But I mean, it'd be interesting for you two to connect.
Yeah.
So I can make that introduction anyway.
Yeah, please do.
So let's carry on. So back in Jersey, growing up as a kid, I guess you did all kind of the regular things. I mean, what kind of hobbies and things excited you?
Rugby.
So rugby?
Yeah. Rugby. I've never, it's funny because when I was filling in your questionnaire, it's like, well, that's actually, I really love rugby. I've never really talked about it.
Rugby. So that is playing rugby or watching rugby or?
Yeah, playing rugby. I was really good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I loved it. Yeah. However, so my brother and I transitioned to a school in the UK in York when I was 11, and there was no rugby. It was football, and it was a real for me. It's like, oh no, football, oh, so boring. I love rugby. And that was that. I mean, there's no more rugby really. So I think I would have done a lot of rugby if I'd been rugby because I am very athletic, naturally built athletic. So yeah, that was the only sport that really, anything else kind of bored with it. Tennis, football.
Yeah. But you did like other things. I mean, similar to me. I mean, I had an action man. Yeah. I had the super duper one. It had I think it was called the Eagle Eye Action Man, and the scar on his cheek.
Ooh,
so he was really the tough guy, right?
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, so sometimes I have to break into my sister's room, and he would meet up with Barbie. But that's another story, right? So then you I mean, like most kids, I mean, played Lego. I have tons of Lego for my kids now. I mean, they love it, but also the Lego Technics, the smaller kind of stuff. But yeah, I see you also later on, I mean, besides kind of outdoor activities and sports and natural things, you experienced other things. I mean, I see here that psychedelics.
Yeah, take it up a notch. Indeed, yeah.
So I guess that wasn't at school.
I think I just left.
Or maybe it was.
No, I think I just left school. It was like 15 was my first experience.
So how did that come about?
actually, how it came about was what I remember anyway. Was a friend of mine at school had a cousin, and he was Dutch. Funny, actually, I dreamt about him last night, and how he hasn't really changed in the last 30 years. I went to see him like 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. The same kind of fun personality and everything. And so, yes, so he'd invited us to come to Amsterdam and to stay with him. His family, you know, had a barge on one of the canals outside of Amsterdam near Hilversum, this place where all kind of the Dutch movie stars and stuff were living around that area.
I know it well.
It was called 𝗓𝗓𝗏land, I think it was called 𝗓𝗓𝗏land.
Yeah, I mean, I lived in Amsterdam for 5 years. So I lived in a place called on the west side. It's called 𝗬𝗘𝗏𝗥, and it's the west side of Amsterdam that you could cycle in on your bike. But Hilversum and other places there, particularly kind of nearer the airport, were huge. I mean, new kind of construction places with tons of people.
Right.
I mean,
well, yeah,
but I had my first experience of kind of space cakes and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, after a year of exploring all of the coffee shops and everything and seeing the scene, you kind of got fed up with it. And my problem was that my clients used to come over and I had to show them around. I said, where do you want to go? And they always said the red light area and Amsterdam and coffee shops. And I thought, oh, here we go again. So, but anyway, so carry on with the story. So
yeah, I mean, he took us, this is me, my brother, my cousin, no, my friend brother and his girlfriend. His cousin took us, Timon his name is, took us to this festival called the 𝗬𝗘𝗏𝗏 Festival, which was on this rough ground outside of Amsterdam, and it was like a real kind of like hippie festival, and it was really cool. And there was pretty everything much that you wanted there, and yeah, like that. We met this this transgender person who worked for the Dutch government testing MDMA ecstasy, and they had like just pure like MDMA, and they were like, yeah, sold it to us and like gave us the exact amount for our body weight and all this. So then there was this amazing MDMA experience. There was this Spiral Tribe. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they were like this underground UK rave, kind of guerrilla illegal rave outfit that had driven to this festival from the UK. And they brought their lorry with their big bass pins on it and everything. And so they'd set up, right, as well. There were like Hell's Angels around. There was like, it was quite a scene. And then it was also, I had the opportunity to try some Mexican mushrooms. And it was Mexican? Beautiful. Yeah.
It's I mean, I have no idea on this. I mean, is a Mexican are better than kind of European or whatever?
I mean, just different. Yeah, different.
But I mean, they all give you kind of a psychedelic experience.
Absolutely.
But the Mexican ones have got the more spicy or something.
I'm not entirely sure, but perhaps I don't know. I mean, it was just what was available, what was there. Obviously, in the UK, you know, the mushrooms, the Liberty caps are the main ones that people enjoy and take because they grow everywhere. You know, so maybe they weren't available in Amsterdam for the people, the trippers of Amsterdam. So they like ordered them in from Mexico or something.
Yeah. I don't know one mushroom from another.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole scene. It's a whole world.
I can imagine. So what was your experience then? I mean, how was it?
It was beautiful. Yeah. There was actually a kind of parade ceremony happening when I was tripping on these mushrooms, which is like the sort of crescendo of the whole festival. So it was pretty intense, but also very beautiful as well. And yeah, and contrasting to the MDMA ecstasy experience. And I mean, now both those, material substances are used in, psychedelic therapy and, trauma healing and PTSD and all of that, to great effect. So, it goes, when you really look into it, it goes way beyond just having a fun, crazy time.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay, so let's kind of move on to that. We could talk about psychedelics all day. We did have a previous guest actually that had his first psychedelic experience, and yeah, he was in the forest or something, and then everything came alive to him. I mean, he was able to feel the ambience and the surroundings kind of spoke to him, and yeah, from then onwards, that he used that in a way to connect to a different kind of, I don't know if it's consciousness or something, but I mean, different experience. But anyway, another interesting guest. So let's kind of move on. So you went through typical kind of childhood and education, and when you left school, what did you do?
Yeah. So when I left school, I actually decided to go with a friend to France and kind of do some work, like work our way around the world kind of thing. And so it was a pretty ill-fated mission, to be honest, but we ended up finding some work in Germany. We tried to get work in grape harvesting in France, but they'd already got all their workers. We ended up going into Germany, into the Mosel area, and getting ourselves some work. And then it was so hard. The whole thing was just so hard. It was actually like a real baptism of fire. We were sleeping in a tent on the side of a hill. It was freezing in the morning. I remember waking up shivering, totally unprepared. Like the whole thing was just ridiculous. We were on this camping site with a whole load of like Polish immigrant workers, and then we'd get taken in this sort of tractor trailer with them to the fields, and there was no breakfast. It was just like, and then work hard, like back-breaking work, cutting the grapes off the vines, and there were all these Turkish migrant workers as well working there. We didn't have, and we were so ridiculously unprepared. We ran out of money, but we didn't. And one thing was, I remember, was that sitting in the kind of sunshine at lunchtime, and these Turkish women would see us, and they'd see that we didn't have any food, so they'd come and give us like their baked potatoes and some eggs and things. And so we were so grateful. It's just those little acts of compassion and warmth were really touching for me, and yeah, that affected me because I hadn't really experienced anything like that, that kind of solidarity, and also being basically an entitled, entitled well, I haven't gone to university yet, but educated, Westerner. And it was actually, that experience only lasted a week, and then we were like, let's get the hell out of here, let's go back to France. And we ended up working on an organic farm in France, and that was also turned out to be an interesting, because they were Seventh-day Adventists. No judgment, but they were always trying to convert us to to whatever evangelical cause, but the food was excellent. So that Germany experience, although short-lived, really affected me, because we were both like, me and my friend were both like, what do we do? Like, we are so lucky where we come from, and we've got everything. We've got a social security system, like everything. And these people are literally breaking their backs every day, you know, for peanuts, being mistreated by, you know, the owners of this thing. You know, it's just like such exploitation was happening. Got to experience that firsthand and live what that experience was. And that was a bit of a wake-up call. Yeah, and then opened our eyes, definitely. And then, yeah, going to France and doing that was a completely different experience, south of France, and it was yeah, so lovely, and the nature was wonderful, and it was warm and everything. But after, yeah, a month and a half of that, we ended up going back home. And so I went back to Jersey and got a proper job at a supermarket, actually. Oh dear. And then ended up doing a TEFL course, teaching English as a foreign language. And then that was the plan, like, okay, now I'm really going to go out and travel and do it properly, you know, as an English teacher. But I didn't make it very far. I never actually got going. I did a summer school in Jersey for teaching English to kind of Scandinavian kids. And then I ended up going to university. I was like, oh, just jump on the university gravy train. Just do that, right? Still get a grant and all of that, student loan. So ended up, yeah, doing health sciences for a year at university in Preston in Lancashire. That was also an interesting experience. A very depressed area of the north of England, poor, kind of post-industrial decline. Yeah, like, I mean, actually that kind of area was written about by George Orwell in a book he wrote. He was in Wigan, which is just down the road from Preston, and it was about poverty in the UK, and that was obviously back in whenever the 50s. But it was still very, very, very deprived area. Yeah, and I only lasted a year there. The course was okay, it was pretty good, it was great, but what I was actually interested in was holistic health and holistic healing. And this course had just been created, which was called Health Sciences for Complementary Medicine. And so it was run by a homeopath and a woman who was a kind of just very knowledgeable about holistic healing. And so they set up this course. And so I was, yeah, that's why I was drawn there. And all the course participants were really cool and lovely, and a lot of mature students and different age ranges. But it was, for me, it was one, the place was kind of, the town of Preston was just deeply uninspiring. And the other side of it was I actually wanted to do more direct hands-on work with people. I really wanted to do healing and explore healing and practice, not learn in the head stuff in the head. And it was all, you know, generally that was all like Western sciences orientated as well. So, you know, physiology, biochemistry, health sociology, health psychology, that kind of thing. So, which was good grounding, actually. Definitely prepared me for the pandemic.
Okay. So before we get there, when you were growing up, I mean, in the family with your brother and your sister and living in Jersey, did you feel you had a direction in your life that you were working towards, or were you kind of making it up as you went along and just kind of following one thing after?
I was totally making it up as I went along.
And
I was.
Did you feel that that was because you didn't know yourself which direction you're going, and it wasn't kind of like taught at school or helped or encouraged at school, or was it just kind of, I mean, I've noticed that my schooling was more academical. I mean, so there was nothing about emotional intelligences or nothing about what I actually wanted to do. It was like, you've got to follow the criteria and kind of the programs that the school put out, and then hopefully if you get your A pluses and everything, you'll go to university and then you'll get a degree and get a job.
Yeah. Well, this is a very interesting point you're making. I was good at art. I was good at history. I was good at languages at school. But there wasn't a profession that within that field that I was like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to go to. So it was, yeah, I was like, I want to explore the world. And then there was this, I had this through line as well about metaphysics and holistic healing, which I've been reading about since I was 11 years old.
Wow.
And
I mean, that's young to be reading kind of books like that.
Oh yeah, I know. I was, yeah, deeply fascinated by the mysteries of the universe from a young age. And that
but
was
did you feel that was kind of more an inside calling that created that curiosity that you wanted to learn that? Because I started reading lots of books about pyramids and things like that, and things that I didn't, that you weren't taught at school, that I thought, well, I'm fascinated with that. I loved watching these kind of documentaries on TV and to know more about that.
Yeah, so it was definitely an inner calling. It was like a remembering. That's what I, and I was like, I remember sitting in my room when I was 12 years old, and I could feel this presence in my room, and I was like, shit, is this place haunted? It wasn't an old house. And what I realize now, that was like my spirit guides. And they were kind of nudging me, right? And that's when I actually went and got certain books out of the library to do with pyramids and crop circles and UFOs and supernature and all of that. So I was definitely being nudged and triggered to remember, and also going to see sacred sites as well. So these kind of, Jersey has a lot of megalithic structures, and I discovered that they're all kind of connected on ley lines and energy lines of the earth, the telluric currents of the earth. And I was absolutely fascinated by that, and I kept on kind of petitioning my mum, particularly, that we go and have picnics in these sacred sites. And my mum was actually very interested in meditation and paganism, and she had two friends who were astrologers, and they were also pagans as well, and they wrote for this Jersey's pagan journal at the time. And I found it was just totally fascinating. I was just like, oh my God, give me more of this. So that was, behind the scenes going on. And I found a friend at school who was into the same stuff as well. We used to talk about it and also share books. He shared a lot of books with me. So there's always this inner passion, and that bloomed into, taking this course when I was 19, which is health science and complementary medicine. But then it wasn't enough. It wasn't deep enough. It wasn't like, I want a direct experience. And so I was able to shift out of that, move to London, and I signed up for a shiatsu course, which is Japanese acupressure healing. And also I got into a psychotherapy school, creative art psychotherapy. Yeah, I was like 5 years below the age minimum for the school, but for some crazy reason they let me in. And so I was doing that, and I went through this deep healing process for a year by looking at my childhood. As you learn as a psychotherapist, you are the material to begin with. So I was deeply doing that, and on a process. And at the end of that year, I had a meltdown at my psychotherapy school, like a proper meltdown, yeah, it was a sort of shamanic experience of sort of melting down, panic attack, all in one. My body started kind of like contracting, and I couldn't breathe, and it was so bizarre.
Wow, what caused that then?
I think it was just the accumulation of like looking at my trauma and feeling like I wasn't really worthy of being a psychotherapist, because I was so messed up in my mind. And
did you think by training, doing the psychotherapy, you actually discovered lots of your own kind of hang-ups and challenges that you were facing.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that, because the first year of the course was basically about you kind of thing. Like, although we would do psychotherapy with each other and using the arts, it was so much focused about you, because if you can't develop an awareness of you, then how can you develop an awareness of others?
But once
I just had want to break in here real quick as a question. Didn't you have a training therapist when you were doing your course? Because I mean, that's standard practice now. I don't know when you were actually training, but I know that I had I was required to have a training therapist during the time that I was in training. So it's like not to get my craziness mixed up with my client's craziness. So I just wonder, didn't they require that for you, that you have someone to actually work out your stuff on an individual level?
Yeah, that was going on. I was doing weekly therapy sessions with a psychotherapist as well. But it was just all too much for my 20-year-old psyche. At this one moment at the end, right at the end, and I just kind of broke down. And it was just, I was holding it all in. I was like, this, the male, obviously, the kind of the conditioning for most men is to be strong, not show your feelings, hold it all in, right? So I was acting that out and playing that out, right, at the same time doing deep psychotherapy. So it had to come out in some way, and so that was it. Kind of happened spontaneously. It just felt so much pressure. I felt so much pressure internally and externally to just let it all out, and it just happened involuntarily.
Yeah, but I mean, I completely get where you're coming from, because a lot of the time, the way that we feel like we don't always understand why. And once you start discovering yourself or rediscovering yourself, then you start to find kind of these trapped emotions and trapped things within you. And then these kind of come out, but you need to get rid of them. But you need to identify them first and then get rid of them. And then once you've kind of cleared that plate, then you're in a better position to help others. But if you don't, then you're bringing along that baggage with you that you can't shift. And that baggage can affect what you do with others.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so to also to kind of top all of that off, I was also started practicing Tantra yoga as well. And I actually, at the end of that kind of academic year, not only had I had that meltdown experience, but I also had a Kundalini awakening as well.
Sorry, a what? Say that again?
A Kundalini awakening.
Right, maybe you can explain. I mean, there's going to be some audience that don't understand what that is.
So Kundalini is known as like the life force energy that we have within the body that travels up the spine. And so in the yoga traditions in India, particularly, but not limited to them, it's about cultivating that energy and bringing it up the spine. And it kind of goes into the brain, into the kind of crown of the head. And that is an activation that opens us to cosmic consciousness, let's say, unity consciousness. But that can happen spontaneously as well. And but yeah, through the practicing of the yoga, it was all happening really quickly, and I didn't have proper mentor or guide or spiritual teacher, and yet I was having these kind of experiences of merging with everything around me.
And what about dreams? Were you having any vivid dreams at the time?
Not that I recall. I mean, I dream every night, but there's nothing I can say, oh, I was having that dream or I had that dream at the time. Because
you mentioned about kind of being prompted and guided on that journey and not necessarily knowing the direction you're going, but you wanted to kind of sample a lot of different things to try and find what it is that you should be following. And do you still have that as well? Or did that leave you, or are you still prompted?
Definitely still prompted.
Right.
But
So,
I have more of an active relationship with my guidance now.
okay. So we're going to come on to
Yeah.
that now. So let's kind of leap forward a bit, because in the essence of time, and also
Sure.
I want the audience, I mean, to ask questions. I mean, for me, this is very interesting, and it's kind of, excuse the expression, my cup of tea, because I love this sort of stuff, and I could talk for hours and hours, and you know, we need to kind of move this on and give people the opportunity then, if they want to know more and follow your work and connect with you, then to do so and provide the links afterwards. So let's just kind of skip forward to, so what are you doing now, and why in particular where you're living? I mean, was that kind of a call in to go there, or did that come about because of this situation in Mexico? And why did you go to Mexico? Hi,
I went
Paul.
to Mexico.
Hi, Paul, by the way.
I went to Mexico to escape the Matrix and the lockdown in the UK, which was still happening in March 2021.
And you went alone?
I went alone. Yeah, I just literally just exited. I was like, okay, so I left London. I was living in London again. You know, let's just 25 years just later. I'm living in London, practicing as a life coach and energy healer online, and I left London at the end of 2020, and I moved to Forest Row in Sussex, which is this little like beautiful village in the Ashdown Forest, and I had some friends living there, and it's a kind of a bit of a spiritual hub. And I took a sublet for 3 months in this like 500-year-old cottage next to a spring, and it was glorious. I had a wonderful experience there, and but that sublet was coming to an end, and I was like, okay, could I'm dreaming. I mean, I was absolutely dreaming of getting out of the country. I was just like getting out of the whole COVID craziness. And I did a bit of research and asked a few people, and I believed it was possible to leave the country. So I, at the end of my tenancy for this sublet, I literally bought a flight from one day to the next, and just packed all my stuff and got out. And you know, I went to Gatwick Airport, and I was very nervous and anxious, because I was thinking, oh, this is ridiculous. They're not going to let me out of the country. They're going to stop me at the airport. They're going to like.
I mean, isn't this so ironic? I mean, you're trying to leave a country. I mean, it seems that you need special permission to leave a country, and I mean, what sort of world are we living in?
I know, it's ridiculous. It's wild. So, I mean, the place was empty. It was like a ghost town. Gatwick Airport, you know, it was ghost. There was no one around. There's nothing. There was just a few people
Just
who
one
were getting
flight,
my flight, and that was it. The whole place was just
one flight to Mexico, and that was it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, but like there was no one stopping me. I had to like have a form that I printed out and everything, but no one asked me. You know, the guy at the check-in said, "Have you got your form?" Yeah, fine. There was no police there. You know, there's all these reports of the police, you know, would be coming down the check-in aisles and questioning everyone. None of that. So I just, got on a plane. I couldn't believe it. I was out, flew to Madrid, changed to Madrid, flew to Mexico, arrived in Mexico at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I was like, am I hallucinating? I've actually managed to get out, and oh my God. So I actually went to the pyramids of Teotihuacan that same morning, which is just north of Mexico City, and had a few days, amazing experience there. I could go on for an hour about that place. And then I found my way eventually to Tulum, where I basically based myself for 6 months. I was there. And then I did feel like this calling to come to 𝗪𝗘𝗧𝗏, Guatemala, even though it was like, oh, I'm trying to like work out what's my best strategy for coming back and exiting and getting my, but anyway, it was just, I was pulled there. And I'm so glad I received, you know, I heeded the guidance and came here because it's just been so
But
wonderful.
you had when you packed up and went, you had a destination to go to. I mean, besides Mexico, I mean, you had somewhere to stay, or you just, I mean, how did
I
that?
hadn't booked anything or anything.
But don't they ask you where you're going to stay and give their address and the contact details of?
No, I just told them at the, when I arrived at immigration, I was going to Tulum and I was going to have a long holiday, and they were fine with that. Yeah, no PCR test needed, nothing. So that was also the big attraction.
And getting into Mexico wasn't a problem when you arrived.
No problem at all. No, they just let go. Yeah, all good. So it's definitely Mexico has become a bit of a hub for people who wanted to get out of the matrix system.
So you found a lot of like-minded, similar people that were doing the same thing. I mean, in Mexico.
Definitely. Oh yeah, tons, hordes of others doing the same thing, and either living off their savings or digital nomading. So it was that was very confirming as well, right? Because when you get somewhere and you're like, oh, there's all these other people here like me. Oh, I see, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Not that I thought that I was, but
I guess if I wasn't married with three kids, I would have been there as well. I would say, oh, hi.
Exactly. Yeah, because everyone is doing what they can. So I know that a lot of people have been stuck in places because they have all their commitments and their mortgage and their kids and everything else. But I was just lucky that I didn't have any of that. So
okay,
the sensible thing was to get out.
Yeah. So tell us. I mean, so you had already started your practice or your business online in London. So you've been doing this for a number of years. Yeah,
but there's a whole other story page, so many pages, chapters, but because I also trained as an actor as well, and I did the whole acting thing, and in London.
You've done many things.
Oh my God.
And you're learning now. We talked prior to the show that you're doing a singing course at the moment.
Yeah, singing, songwriting. Yeah. So yeah, it's just going to
songwriting and singing.
It's voice empowerment and songwriting with the same mentor. Yeah.
You should use Emily. I mean, she does a.
I can talk to her. Yeah. And I also lived in an ashram in India as well, like 3 different times during those missing chapters. But yeah, now I do this and I do it here. And what's been great is because I've also been able to lead retreats here and run some workshops.
When you say here, you say where you are now or in Mexico?
Yeah, on 𝗪𝗘𝗏𝗏, in San Marcos in 𝗪𝗘𝗏𝗏 in Guatemala. And so that's been great because part of why I wanted to leave as well, the UK, was because I wanted to work with people in person. And in that climate and environment, that wasn't possible. And so it was like, I want a place where I can do that. And so I started doing that when I was in Mexico in Tulum, and then I continued doing it here and just gone a bit deeper. So
I'm sorry to kind of hurry this along a little bit, because we just kind of to wrap it up in a minute. But so just explain a bit more your business now. You're doing it online. Who are your typical clients? Who do you work with? And what is it that you offer?
Yeah, great. So I help heart-led entrepreneurs and spiritually minded people to expand their reality bubble and their idea of what is possible, so they can step into a place where miracles are not, just something that you read about in a Bible, but something that you can experience on a weekly, daily basis. It's all about getting into a high frequency state and taking responsibility and working with mindset, emotions, belief systems to let go of anything that's not serving, that's limiting, that's toxic from the past, and opening to all the love and the guidance and the healing that is around and available to us at all times in every moment.
I love it. I mean, I think everybody should be doing something like this, and everybody needs it. So where are you on that journey? So, I mean, you said you work online. So, I mean, online, the clients could be anywhere in the world, or you particular.
Yeah, totally. Clients can be anywhere in the world. I work one-on-one. I have a group program that I'm setting up. I also do some online training as well. Like I have a learn to channel kind of course, online course I do.
So you doing channeling as well?
Yeah. Channeling has been something I opened up to about two years ago. And actually, since I came to Guatemala, it's been something that I've been prompted again, guided to, like, no, you need to teach this now as well. Like,
and you do
take the high road.
You mentioned also shamanic healing.
Yeah.
And energy work.
Yeah, energy work. Yeah. So I mean, it's evolving all the time, but yeah, the energy work is kind of shamanic, and the shamanic is like work, just understanding that like everything is frequency and energetics, and learning how to work with energy, and also, you know, that energy can help us let go of toxicity and, you know, anything that's around us or in our ancestral line as well, that's been handed down from our forefathers and our ancestors that no longer serves. So, and so I also work with plant medicines as well, doing that. Yeah, so.
No, I love it. So also, so how is business at the moment?
Yeah, business is good. I mean, since I've been here, because I've been able to expand and actually, you know, like put on retreats and things. So it's just been like so wonderful to do that, and also then just have a lot of time to work on my business and make different offerings. Also have a podcast as well, and yeah, kind of create a community that are interested in what I do, and also serving them in the best way I can. So yeah.
I love it, and I'm interested in the retreats. So people would come and do, I mean, what do you offer on the retreats?
So the first, well, I haven't got anything right now that's like on the schedule. I've got a number of pending retreats that I need to set up. But the 2 retreats I did, one was actually a like channeling retreat, literally to kind of get more into channeling, and so that was all about practices and protocols for channeling and what kind of energies or consciousness you might want to channel, and how that might be beneficial to you or your clients, and for healing, for growth, transformation, for sharing knowledge and wisdom. And the other one I ran was called Return to Source, which is about really kindling a connection with Source, whatever that means to you, whether it's like, you know, Allah, God, the creator, goddess, spirit, great spirit, whatever it means to you, but really kindling that and showing up for that. So that, yeah, because I mean, that's what I believe is the kind of ultimate goal of human existence, really, is to evolve to a place where we return to the perfection, let's say, within form of spirit, and that we become harmonic completely with that force, and that is that kind of space of miracles and infinite consciousness as well, like returning to the out of the duality, out of the separation, the idea of I'm this separate being, into a full understanding and knowing that I am one with all things and all of creation, because then there is no resistance or friction.
Right. I love it. It's excellent. So you asked, I mean, in the questionnaire, I asked you a question. Do you have a question that you want to share with the audience? I don't know if you remember it or you want me to read it.
Can you read it out?
Right. So I asked you, do you have any questions for the audience? And if you do, please note it. So you said, what is the one thing that you're scared to do that if you did do it, it would change your life forever? Right. So I'm just going to open this up now to the audience, because I mean, we've kind of gone over the time anyway, and I just wanted to see if there's any interaction and anyone that wants to answer that question. Do you want me to ask it again?
No, well, I'll answer anyway.
Okay.
For me, it was stepping into and accepting the gift that I had for understanding dreams, and it did change my life forever. Instead of running away from it and dancing around it and avoiding it, not talking about it, it's become the way forward for me. So, you know, I went from thinking that people will think I'm crazy. That's why I became a psychotherapist. I could talk about dreams without people thinking I was nuts. So to just being myself and being at peace with that. Take care, Pete.
Bye, Pete.
Bye, Pete.
Yeah, Boyan?
For me, in fact, rolling back, maybe there are many events that happened, so maybe I had to do something I didn't do. But most probably this was going to change my life in many ways, I think. I don't regret my path until now, so I'm pretty happy with my life journey, even if it was like with ups and downs. But if like particular examples, a couple of times I had like an option to move abroad and to away from. So something like what happened to you during the lockdowns. I was living in the socialism time, communism, and then to leave the country, you need a permission. You don't need to. So it was like an experience. Then what happened with the lockdown really recall what I was living in my childhood, when it was you cannot do this, you cannot do that, you cannot move, etc. So it was direct. And but to come to many, it was when you make some important, let's say, strategic decisions, and when they don't happen for one or another reason. But I think I'm a positive person. So when one door closes, there is a reason that the other is opening. So this is what happened to me, like choosing the schools or something like this. For example, I dropped playing guitar. Maybe if I continued, at some moment I was going to be in totally different journey, who knows, so such stuff. So thanks for the question. It's good because it brings you back and forth to think about your life.
Yeah, I think it's a good question to ask oneself every so often, perhaps even every day.
Yeah, it's actually with there was like an advertisement on the TV, I think maybe of the Pepsi color or something though. So it was a young teacher telling to the students that we are all results of the decisions that we make. So at the end, but you need, the good thing is we make decisions, because some people they stay with the flow, let's say too. So this is making the change. So also I can go and sing even knowing that I don't sing quite well. So this is
I enjoyed your song.
it's nice. It's from the southwest corner of Bulgaria, and we call the people living there Macedonians, even if they're in Bulgaria. So it's actually, there is very close, in my opinion, and also historically Macedonia is Bulgaria. In fact, the language is practically the same, but it's a lot of politics here on the Balkans too.
Right, yeah.
But anyway, it's not to jump to politics, but this is a song with such origin too. And then if I have a couple of, let's say, rakia, like spirits, I sing easily.
Oh, yeah, okay. You have a drink, then you sing better.
Yes, this is, but so I don't have this scene fear or something. So I'm not afraid to speak in front of a lot of people.
Yeah, that actually reminds me of mine. So my biggest turning point in that respect that I was scared of, I was in fear of doing, was public speaking. So I had the opportunity. I was always a pitching judge, so I didn't mind judging, and I thought I was pretty good at that. But when I had the opportunity to go on stage, although in sales, I mean, you had to talk in front of people, but it wasn't the same as public speaking. So when I first did it, I feared it. I didn't want to do it, but inside me, I knew I had to do it. But I had to overcome that fear. And then I had to do it because I knew the outcome, whatever the outcome, would be, to me, positive, right? So I had to do it. So when I first did it in front of a live audience, I went through kind of all the emotions. I mean, kind of panic attacks and forgetting what I was going to say, sweating, not knowing what I'm going to have stage fright when I get up there. People boo and boo me off the stage. I get a hook and someone will drag me off the stage or something. So I did it, and it was the best thing I ever did for me, because it changed my life. It then, thanks, Sheila.
Hi, Sheila. Yeah, thank you.
So it changed me in the way that I overcame any fear, and I thought, right, I'm going to do it for me. And the outcome was that I also created this show so I could have other people sharing their stories, and it just went on to bigger and better things. So certain things are kind of that pivot point, that turning point in your life, the things that can, you want to do it, but sometimes you haven't got the balls to do it. But when you do it, you think, well, it wasn't that bad after all. And you go through all the emotions and you fear it, you hate it, you don't want to do it. But then once you've done it, it's kind of that sense of relief. I've done it now. And it really wasn't so bad. And now I don't fear anything. Right. So that was it for me. So I mean, Paul, thanks for joining. So Paul's in India. So Paul's normally a regular as well.
Hi, Jody.
Paul, do you have anything to add to that? I mean, something that you overcame that changed your life?
For me now, I just would like to tell, I have one gift, I'll sleep, and in my sleep, my dreams will communicate to me something, and it happens. It will happen in future. Like I have around 100 such dreams, and all have become correct, and it's a gift. And I think when you said about shamanic healing, I don't know where I read it, I don't know, but it's something like, if I'm right, it's something like nature is connected to you or something like that. I don't know that, but you are the expert, so you should know on that thing. So I just wanted to tell you about this thing, which I know is that, alpha state mind. And when you're sleeping, your mind is in an alpha state mind. When you pray, your mind is in an alpha state mind. And in that state, your mind can go to different places. It can even see future. There can be different things in earth which can contact us and show you different things. This is one thing I have come across. So I'm just telling you, but I'm not fully into it. This is one thing I do it whenever I'll sleep. I'll do this. I'll try. I'll close my eyes. I'll try. I'll see. I'll just say thanks to God, and then automatically, that thing comes in and communicates to you, and it will show you, hey, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. That's going to happen, and it happens real. And the best one, I'll tell you. This is the best one which I had. I'm sleeping. I'm in a train, and one robot comes in the dream. It's showing. See, I can show you the future. It's saying, and saying, counting numbers. Like, let's see this: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Pick up 1, 1, 1, and then I'm saying, let me sleep. Again, it is saying 1, 1, 1, 1, and then someone is falling from the train, sleeper. Someone sleeps on the train, sleeper, and he falls down. So then I came to know that time is controlled. Means there are some things in earth, in the world, So that thing is able to control the time. So it can do many things. It can do many wonders, you know, and it will do it. So this is one thing I just wanted to share. I had this. I'm into computers more. I'm a software expert. I'm a software developer. But this thing, like this part of mine, I really like it, you know, like, and but nowadays it doesn't happen because I think I'm more focused on business. So might be that's why it is not contact me. I don't know what it is. So it's not under my control. First thing, yeah. I'm just sharing. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah, I made a blog also just to record my dreams, you know, all whatever dreams, and it really happens, and I just don't know what's going on, you know, like, and I have proofs also. Means I like there was a storm in Kerala here in India, and I saw that in a dream, and I told my friends because my dreams comes true, no. So I'm telling my friends, hey, see, I saw this dream, and now something is going to happen. And it after 1 year there was a real flood. The way I saw, the same thing had happened, and so and that Belaruski president being hit, you know, that Belaruski president was hit by one mad lady with a statue. So it was showing me beforehand. It was showing God. There was one guy who was talking to me, and I could feel like as if God is contacting me and talking to me. God, or I don't know what it is. It is something talking to me, and he told God does many things through mental people, mind whose minds are disordered. Through mind disorder, he can do many things. And when he said that, no, something clicked to me, and I knew something is going to happen. And that day when I slept, in the dream, it showed me some great person is going to be hit on the nose by some God's person. And you know what I am seeing? I'm opening my eyes and I'm seeing Belaruski president being hit by a mental lady, like the top. And I said, wow. And those days, every day continuously for 30 days, this thing will come and communicate, talk to me, show me something. It was some of the best moments of my life, you know, like that was around 5 years back. So I don't know, many things possible in the brain, you know, and I don't know, when you're sleeping, relaxed, clean mind might help. That's what I think, you know. I don't know. This is something I'm sharing. It's not of my technical field, but I'm just sharing. And it's like this is something I know. So because you are into shamanic healing, so you will like to know this experience, you know. That's what I felt of telling. That's
very interesting.
I love it. You should get Sheila to help decipher it.
Yeah. Jody, what is your connection with Bulgarians? I'm asking because I checked your website quickly, and actually you're using a platform that was developed in Bulgaria.
Oh, is that Rivko?
This
No.
your website, 𝗤𝗢𝗙𝗪.co. You're using a platform that is called Symvoli. This means
Really, I didn't know that.
in Bulgaria. Yeah, I check it just quickly. I send you a link. I send you a link, and I will offer you a free checkup of your website from search engine point of view. So and
Great,
then you can get 1 month like estimation, and we can have 1 hour call to show you what you can improve and to. But I didn't hear about this platform, and now I saw it that it's a Bulgarian. So this is why I'm curious how you choose it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't consciously know it's like that. Yeah.
Right.
But I do have a friend here who's Bulgarian. Actually, her name is Zori.
Zori.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so we're going to kind of wrap this up now. So it is, Jody, it has been a fantastic experience. I mean, your stories, I mean, as you said, we could talk about for hours. I mean, particularly the pyramids that you mentioned in Mexico. I'd love to know those stories. But I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, how you got into this, your I would say life story, but I mean, we're only touching on the edge of it. I mean, we can go as deep as you want it to go. And, you know, where you are now and kind of the reasons for that, it's basically a calling. And what you're doing, I mean, resonates a lot with me, and particularly the kind of the shamanic healing and the energy work and the higher frequencies and everything else. I mean, that is who we really are. And most people don't realize that. So once they start to discover that, they'll know that they're more powerful than they could ever imagine. But anyway, that is all coming, and I love your work. So if you can also share with me the links that I can advertise and post for you,
Sure.
and then people can reach out and connect to you. And if you've got any closing comments or remarks or anything, then we'll just wrap this up now.
Well, yeah, I mean, thank you everyone for listening and for tuning in and spending your time listening to me. It's been a lovely conversation. You're a great interviewer, James. I only wish we had a few days, really. There's so many rabbit holes and so many points there that like, oh my God, yeah, we talk about that. But what I want to just kind of leave everyone with is just that question about like that what you are in love with, can you make more space for that in your life, what you are in love with? Can you give yourself the gift of that? And how might that look like? What would it look like if you could make space for more of what you're in love with? Because you are worth it. And the world needs your gifts and your medicine and your joy as well. And so, yeah, if anyone, and of course, if anyone is interested in kind of having a conversation with me, or like what, maybe how I might be able to help them, then just, reach out, get in contact. Yeah.
So I just want to, just before we go, in the questionnaire, I asked, I mean, you are our 90th guest, so congratulations. So I asked the guests if they would like to be featured in, we're creating our first edition book. So people that can actually share their stories in the book. So I want 12 or so to do that. We have around 10, 11 at the moment. So there's still place. And the idea is, I mean, the people that have been on here, Sheila's going to be in it, Boyan, Pete, and a bunch of others. Barbara, I mentioned in Mexico, is going to be in it, and others. So it'll be something fantastic. We'll share our stories. And then the idea then, which is my kind of dream, we go around to each and everyone's country, and then we help promote and have fun meeting each other, because none of us have met. It's all completely virtual. And maybe come to you and do a retreat, promote the book, and have some fun at the same time. So that is an option. If you want to know more, I'll send you the details. But yeah, there's some great people that come on every week, and great interaction. The audience are fantastic, and I'm still waiting for Paul to be a guest. He's always in the audience, but never a guest. So we don't know his story yet. So looking forward to that. But Jody, this has been a fantastic journey. You've opened our minds to a lot of things that are possible, a lot of things that we should be trying to question and discover about ourselves, because in the absence of not knowing, you cannot live and fulfill a more meaningful and purpose-driven life. And I think it is in everyone's interest to at least know who they are. And I would say most people don't know who they are. So on that note,
correct. People don't know who they are.
Yes.
And that leaves them powerless.
Exactly.
When we know who we are, that we can regain our power.
I guess just on a side note, Ikigai.
Yes, I'm familiar with it, but I'm not deeply versed in it.
All right. Yeah, I studied that for 4 years. So that's something that is a great kind of foundation. I think every man, woman, and child should be doing. But that's another story. But anyway, I can see lots of synergies, and I would love to actually do a workshop with you and bring an audience that would benefit and enjoy this as well. So
yeah, That sounds great.
This would be magical to come over and to share the stage with you and do something together.
Sounds great. Yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
we'll talk about that separately. But anyway,
Yeah.
Thank you once again. It's been great. Thank you once again to the audience, particularly Boyan, and well, Paul now, because you're coming on a lot more than you used to, right? So nice to see Paul there, and I'm sure he's polishing his teeth every time he's coming, right? Because he's got the best teeth, right? So on that note, again, Jody, thank you for being a fantastic guest, and Boyan and Paul also for being in the audience and making this interactive and having fun. And have a wonderful weekend. And I'm looking forward to our next exciting guest next Friday, who, Jody, you should definitely join that, because that is something takes this to a whole new level. Okay, so on that note, thank you, everybody.
Bye. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Jody. Bye, James.
Bye.